All right, y'all. So I'm going live. Um, some of you haven't seen me before. I did go live once before on one of my channels, but I'm going to give people time to get in here. So I'm going to start out by playing a video that I did on my former channel, the Anti-Natalist Informant, and then I'm going to uh, have a discussion about whether we actually own our own lives and whether we are slaves. Because I just researched some case law, which I found very disturbing. I mean, I already know that we are slaves, but to have the case law backing what I'm saying was really disturbing. So it's really going to be undeniable that once I show, I don't know how many people are actually going to listen to this video, but once I actually show the case law, I think it's going to be hard to argue that we're not slaves. That when you breed a child into hell, you are creating a slave. And that's why I have hell in the background, because that's what you're doing. The government has complete control over your life. You don't really have any rights, and you don't really exist for your own purpose. You don't have any quality of life. You exist for government purposes. So I'm going to start out by playing this video, and then I'm going to open up the discussion later if anybody wants to join. But first, I'm going to play the video to give people time to comment, and I'm going to show and prove that we actually are slaves under the law. This is the Anti-Natalist Informant, and I was brought into hell without. Why did it stop playing? Sorry, my consent. By hell, I don't mean a mystical place. Sorry, y'all. I just got this new computer. Maybe I shouldn't even play the video. I didn't test it to see if it would maybe I should let it buffer a minute. I have really fast internet now. I just got a different plan, so I shouldn't have any connection problems. Let me try it one more time, and if it doesn't play, then I'm just going to go ahead and get started and tell y'all why we are slaves under the law. Okay, screw it. It's an underworld. I refer to the life that I'm living now, and it's okay. I'm not even going to mess with this. Let me just go ahead and get started. The reason why I was going to play the video is because the video pretty much says what I didn't want to be redundant. It actually explains why, under the principle of self-ownership, if you don't have the right to die, then you don't actually own your life. And but I don't even need to go into that. I'm just going to get started on the law. Here's the law, and the case is Plessy versus Ferguson. I'm going to share the screen. Here it is. Okay. So hopefully y'all can see it. Yeah, you can see it. It's showing. So I'm going to start at the top. This is Plessy versus Ferguson. It's a very well-known U.S. Supreme Court case. And this is the definition of slavery under the 13th Amendment. Now, a lot of people think that only Black people can be slaves. No, we're all slaves. The government has enslaved us. Here's the definition of slavery. Slavery implies involuntary servitude, a state of bondage, the ownership of mankind as chattel, or at least the control of the labor and services of one man for the benefit of another, and the absence of a legal right to the disposal of his own person, property, and services. Now, I want y'all to let that sink in. Do we have any control or autonomy over our own labor, or are we owned by corporations? Do we need occupational licenses to even earn a livelihood? Do we have to get a whole bunch of student loan debt in order to have some type of vocation that is completely oversaw by the government? But I want to put emphasis on the absence of the legal right to the disposal of his own person. You don't have the right to die. that means that you don't own your life. If you own any type of property, if you owned a car, if you owned a watch, if you owned a house, you could dispose of it, you could sell it, you could get rid of it. You do not have the right to die. Therefore, you don't own your life. That's the legal definition. I'm not making this up. If you don't have the right to dispose of your own person, then that makes you a slave. This is the US Supreme Court. This is their definition. I'm not making this up. Now, somebody was in my comment section saying that the government is not preventing us or depriving us of the right to die. I don't know what to say to that. The only thing I can say is that a lot of you are naive about the law, about the legal system, about how much control the government actually has over your lives. Like, I think a lot of you live in La La Land. Like, you go to the gym, you watch television, you live in your own little bubble, and you think that this is reality. You don't even think about what is going on behind the curtains, the way that the government has complete control over your life, over your day-to-day functions. I mean, it's really strange to me because this is all that I think about, and this is probably why I'm so depressed. I wish I didn't know what I know. I wish I didn't realize that the government completely controls me, and there's nothing. It bothers me so much. It makes me extremely depressed. There's nothing I can do about it. I've organized protests. I've filed lawsuits. I've run for office. I've done a whole bunch of things. I've done everything within my power. People always say if you don't like your circumstances, you should change it. I can't do it by myself, right? Everyone else wants to be a slave. I'm not going to say everyone, but most people, well, first of all, they don't even realize that they're slaves. But even once you tell them that they're slaves, they're still not going to do anything about it. And so there's strength in numbers. As an individual, you really have no power. So now I'm going to go and address Texas law. Now, when I talk to y'all about government oppression, I'm usually talking about states. People always want to talk about the federal government having too much power. No, it's not the federal government, it's the state and local governments that are making our lives a living hell. Now, I'm going to use Texas law because I live in Texas, but the same applies in every state in America. Every state. I don't think there's any exception. First of all, let's just get this out the way that no state allows anybody the right to die, right? So I'm going to show y'all what the law says. This is the Texas Penal Code. It's the title is Title 5, Offenses Against a Person, Assaultive Offenses. Here it is. Aiding, excuse me, I just went a little too far down. Aiding suicide. This is section 22.08. A person commits an offense if with intent to promote or assist the commission of suicide by another, he aids or attempts to aid the other to commit or attempt to commit suicide. An offense under this section is a Class C misdemeanor unless the actor's conduct causes suicide or attempted suicide that results in serious bodily injury, in which event the offense is a state jail felony. Now, I'm not sure if you realize the implications of this. It's not even criminalizing just physician-assisted suicide. It goes far beyond that. Even if you have a discussion with someone, it says encouraging. What does it say? Promote or assist in the commission of suicide. Any type of assistance, any discussion about methods. We're not even allowed to talk about it on YouTube. I mean, hopefully I'm not getting in trouble. I'm not even talking, I'm not promoting suicide. That's not what I'm doing right now. I'm just talking about the law and the fact that we don't actually own our lives. So hopefully YouTube won't take this live stream down. I'm not promoting suicide. What I'm saying, I'm using the fact that we don't have the right to die to show that we don't own our lives. So this is so oppressive. You can't even talk about it. You can't talk about it on YouTube. You can't even get information about it because if you Google it, the only information you're going to get are referrals to suicide hotlines. So, I mean, you're brainwashed to think that if you commit the act, you're going to go to hell. There's no resources whatsoever. There's nobody to talk to. I mean, you can talk to somebody, but they're only going to give you one perspective, right? They're going to tell you, "Oh, your love, life is wonderful. Things are going to get better." They don't know that. They don't know that things are going to get better. And even in the context of someone who is terminally ill, someone who is in serious pain, what they're going to try to tell you is that you should focus on your loved ones. Don't think about yourself, even though you are in excruciating pain. Oh, your loved ones are going to suffer but you're going to die anyway. That's the point. That this makes no sense. This whole conversation is so derailed. It's like everyone. I mean, I talked about how people don't want to think about death. I mean, it's like they block it out. They go through life thinking that they're immortal or whatever. Carl Jung talked about that, or he wrote about it. Um, they're so delusional. Why are you working so hard to prevent people from dying when they're going to die anyway? It's like, really, that death is the only purpose of life, right? You're going to die from the moment that you are born or the moment that you are conceived. I don't understand what the whole pro-life thing means. It's so dumb. Um, you're just breeding someone into hell so they can die, and then in between you're going to suffer. You There's an infinite potential for suffering, and it serves no purpose. You can't articulate what the purpose is. Everyone says life has a purpose. God has a purpose. God has a reason and a season. But when you ask them specifically what that purpose is, oh, it's going to be revealed to you. There are people who are 90 years old who still have not been revealed, or the purpose has not been revealed for their lives. It's complete bullshit. I don't know why people make up these cliches to try to make themselves feel better for imposing life and suffering onto human beings without their consent. So let's start out with the baseline that none of us consented to be being born, right? And now you don't even have the right to die. So it's not that the government is forcing you to, or depriving you of the right to die, or they're forcing you to continue to exist. That's what they're doing. By they're depriving you of the right to a humane death. That if you decide based on your own conscience, they're always going to assume that anybody who doesn't want to live is crazy. Um, Without any due process, without any determination about your mental health, about your mental faculties, you are ipso facto insane if you don't want to live. It's the dumbest thing ever, right? They can't even take into account what your individual circumstances are. It's just that, oh, everyone should want to live. Like, that's just so self-evident. It's so inherent that life is wonderful. Life is a gift. No, it's not. Not for many, not for me. Not for me. Every day is fucking miserable. I try not to think about it. I try to be as positive as possible, but it's like the most the worst part about life is government oppression, right? I could probably deal with it if the government wasn't constantly harassing me and if the government didn't have so much control over my life. But that is the main thing. I'm self-sufficient. I'm able to take care of myself. I don't need any help from the government. I don't need to be harassed by the police officers. If I harm somebody, I take responsibility for it. Like John Jacques Rousseau stated about the noble savage. I'm a noble savage. I don't need to live in a state of society. I don't need the government to tell me the difference between right and wrong. I know right and wrong for myself. I try not to harm people. And if I do harm people, I take responsibility for it. I don't need the government babysitting me. Now, Let me see if I have any comments. Oh, gosh. Okay, we have a few people here. I don't even know if I can. Okay, I do have some comments. Let's go back. The evil government is not allowing the slave the right to die is real evidence that we're in a prison realm. They dehumanize those who aren't hysterically happy about life. Yeah, and I'm going. I mean, that's the reason why I'm filing this lawsuit. Well, it's not a lawsuit. It's a traffic citation, but I'm going to make it into a federal case about the right to die, because if I do it as a civil lawsuit, then they could have me declared a vexatious litigant. Um, I'm just going to use this criminal lawsuit. They're the ones who are initiating this. They're prosecuting me. So they've already waived whatever immunity, because if I sue them, they're going to claim immunity. But no, you initiated this criminal suit, and so now I have standing to argue for the right to die. So for those of you, somebody told me that this was fake news, that I'm not actually going to. Y'all don't know me. Y'all don't know me. I don't just sit on YouTube running my mouth. I am about that life. I mean, this is part of the reason that I haven't been making content for a while, that I have been actively fighting the system. I'm actually making things. I mean, I don't know that anything is going to come out of it, but I'm going to make some kind of attempt. Pro-life, so those who are born are neglected due to being unwanted, but at least they're alive. Not just being neglected, but they're also being abused. They're being abused by their parents because, first of all, you're. I didn't plan on talking about all this. I really wanted to talk about the law, but when the parent breeds the child into hell, the child is already a slave. Um, Based on that definition, let me go back to that definition. Okay. Slavery implies involuntary servitude, a state of bondage, the ownership of a mankind as chattel, or at least the control of the labor and services of one man for the benefit of another, and the absence of the legal right to disposal of his own person, property, and services. So you were already a slave from birth. Your parents enslaved you. They were trying to create a little mini me, and now they have complete control over you. You are an abject slave. Um, you don't have any choice about what you eat, about what kind of clothes you wear, about going to school, what type of education you have, what type of religion you have. None of that stuff. You were a slave from birth. And they actually think that there's something noble about being. I'm a mother. That's what my ex mama. I'm your mother. You're the y'all. I don't have any respect for her, so whatever words I refer to her, it is what it is. I feel entitled to call her whatever I want because of everything she's done to me. This woman has ruined my life. So the cunt who bred me into hell thinks that just because she gave me life, that I'm her slave, that she has the right to control me. Every time I don't do what she says, she always says, I'm your mother. And I didn't even realize how she was using that to manipulate me. I would actually feel bad. I would feel like, oh, I'm disrespecting my mother. I'm so ungrateful. I should just do what she... And I let this woman ruin my life. Ugh. And I feel so dumb because I didn't even realize, it took me so long to realize what she was doing. I talked to I think my brother is annoyed because a lot of this stuff is old. Excuse me. It's old, but it took me a long time to realize it. I've been watching all these YouTube videos about parental narcissism, and I'm just like, man, she manipulated me in that situation, in this situation. And I feel that my parents are basically an extension of the government. They enslaved me. I see their authority over me just as illegitimate as the government's authority. It's the same thing. Um, it's like they basically just threw you to the lions, but you were already enslaved before the government stepped in. It's I mean, I don't what people think that they're going to protect their children. It's like you're a slave yourself. How are you going to protect your children? You think I don't understand how people don't think about this. It's just a way of existing without thinking that you don't look at the totality of it. You just live in your own little bubble and you think, I'm going to have this wonderful life with this child. I'm going to protect my child. You don't even think about the fact that your boss, some corporation controls you. And then the government, to me, there's a merger between corporations and the government. It's the same thing. It's the same corporate slash government um, conspiracy to enslave all of us. Okay, I just went on this long ass tangent, and that's fine. It's relevant, but I really wanted to get through the law. So, um, that is the law that if you don't have the right to dispose your own person, property, and services, then that makes you a slave under the 13th Amendment. This is Plessy versus Ferguson. Now, part of this case has been overturned, but that part of it, the definition of what slavery is or what it entails, that is still good law. That is still cited by cases today. Okay, let's see any comments. Most parents cheat their children if they're citizens in an imaginary micro government. Yet, exactly. I think that a household, parental household, is basically a de facto government. Um, do what I say, not as I do. That's how they indoctrinate. That's your introduction to life. That's your socialization. That might makes right. If you don't do what I say, I'm going to beat the shit out you. I'm going to punish you. You have no rights. Just do what I say. Just obey me. And it's like a whole hierarchy. John Jacques Rousseau explained all of this stuff. The reason why people are comfortable with enslavement is because they're not at the bottom. As long as they're not at the very bottom, as long as they can enslave someone else, they're okay with it. And so if they need to have children to make so that they can feel okay with their own enslavement. They can oppress their own children. And then the whole cycle keeps repeating itself. And then they're going to shame those of us who don't have children and say, oh, well, there's something wrong with you. Like, that's what that guy, what is that guy's name? The one, the nature boy, the one who's always calling people slaves. What is his name? For some reason, I can't think of it. Y'all know who I'm talking about. The nature boy, the one who's going around eating raw meat and stuff. Um, Somebody tell me in the comment section what his. They take your birthday money, put it towards something else you may never see. Well, my ex mom never really did that. She didn't take my birthday money. Um, one of my older cousins did borrow my birthday money, never paid it back. And anyway, I don't need to get into that, but yeah, I did at least get to keep my birthday money. I never had any money except during my birthday, and she borrowed money from me one time for my birthday, and then she was mad that she had to pay it back. Like, this is the only time of the year that I ever get any money. I'm broke. Like, when I was little, my allowance was 50 cents a day. That was like enough to get like a little drink and a bag of chips. And yeah, I had no money. So how dare you try to take a little bit? When I got money, I clinged on to it for dear life. I didn't waste money, and I'm still that way now. One of my aunts used to call me a miser because I, yeah, I wouldn't spend money. I knew I wasn't going to get it. Anyway, I want to finish up with the law, and then I'm going to post a link so that if any of y'all want to come up here, I want to show y'all that not only is physician suicide a crime, but it's actually a crime for you too. They're not calling it a crime, but they're criminalized. It has punitive effects. This is what they do. If someone alleges that you attempted suicide or that you have an intent to commit suicide, this is what the law says. Okay, let me go back at the top because I want y'all to see what this is. This is the Health and Safety Code, Title 7, Mental Health and Intellectual Disability. Intellectual disability. So being suicidal is a disability. Gosh, this is so dumb. Apprehension by police officer without warrant. Now they're calling it an apprehension, but this is an actual arrest, right? These people, this is some legal minutia. When you read it, you really gotta read in between the lines of what's actually going on because they're so deceptive, they're so dishonest, so corrupt. This is the system that you're bred into. A peace officer without a warrant may take a person into custody regardless of the age of the person if the officer has reason to believe and does believe that the person is a person with mental illness, and because of that mental illness, there is a substantial risk of serious harm to the person or to others unless the person is immediately restrained. Now, I understand restraining the person if they're going to harm others, but it says if there is a substantial risk of serious harm to the person. Okay. Again, this goes into the whole issue of self-ownership. If it's my right, if I owned a car, can I destroy my car? Can I key up my own car if I want? It's my car. I own it. I can do whatever I want. But you don't have the right to harm your own person. And they're calling it your person, but it's not your person. The government owns you. So basically, when you harm yourself, you're destroying government property. That's the same reason why they're criminalizing abortion. How dare you destroy my property? How dare you not breed more slaves into existence for me? It's the same thing. When people talk about my body, my choice, they always start with a woman's reproductive. It's not just about women. All of us are slaves and we don't own our bodies. So it's not my body, my choice. Why are you assuming that you own your body? Why are you assuming that you own your life? You don't. And believes that there is not sufficient time to obtain a warrant before taking the person into custody. Now, under the Fourth Amendment, you're supposed to have a warrant before making an arrest. But there's an exception for exigent circumstances when you're in hot pursuit of a crime, or if you have witnessed a felony within your presence, then you can make a warrantless arrest. But we're not talking about a crime here unless you think that it is a crime to harm your own self. And if you think it's a crime to destroy your own person or your own property, it's not a crime. If it is a crime, then it should be in the penal code. It's in the health and safety code, which is bullshit. You're criminal. This is their backdoor way of criminalizing self-deletion, but they're calling it something else. A substantial risk of serious harm to the person or other persons under subsections whatever, the person's behavior or evidence of severe emotional distress and deterioration in the person's mental condition to the extent that the person cannot remain at liberty. So they're going to take your liberty. They're going to force you. Okay, let me tell. I'm going to read a little bit further because I want y'all to see what the end result is. They're going to take away your liberty just because you're not happy with your own life. The peace officer may form the belief that the person meets the criteria for apprehension from a representation of a credible person. Gosh. I'm trying to, there's so many side issues with this. A credible person. They're supposed to have, they're supposed to in order to have probable cause for a crime, they're supposed to make a probable cause determination. And that means determining whether the person is credible. But when they file these affidavits or make these statements, they just assume or presume that the person is credible. based on inadmissible evidence, based on hearsay. And you can establish probable cause based on hearsay, but it has to be corroborated by some other underlying circumstances. But no, they go based solely on the hearsay and they never even make a probable cause determination. And then they just arrest you. And this is what I'm trying to fight. This is what the whole basis of me fighting this traffic ticket. And misdemeanor cases, um, they're supposed to make a probable cause determination, but if they don't, it's considered harmless error. Um, they only have to make a probable cause determination in felony cases. So they can proceed to prosecute you without probable cause, without determining whether the person who made the complaint is a credible person. And you're forced to defend this bullshit. You're forced to hire a lawyer. You're forced to hire a lawyer, which they cost $500 an hour, which is unreasonable. You're forced to spend hours researching, all because the court summoned you, or the term is held into court. They held you into court without making a probable cause determination. So even if you're acquitted, you just took all this time off work, you just spent all this money, and they didn't even have to make a probable cause determination. This is tyranny. This is absolute. I don't know why people think that I'm just whining, somebody told me that this is fake news. It's not fake news. This is tyranny. It's just that because of my legal background, I recognize it. I see all the things that are wrong. It's all I think about. It's so depressing. I wish I could do something about it, but I feel so powerless. Okay, so the peace officer may form the belief that the person meets the criteria for apprehension from a representation of a credible person, or on the basis of the conduct of the apprehended person, or the circumstances under the apprehended person is found. I don't think that's grammatically correct. I don't know what that means. I mean, I know what it means, but it doesn't say, it's not worded correctly. A peace officer who takes a person into custody under subsection A shall immediately transport the apprehended person to the nearest appropriate inpatient mental health facility or mental health facility deemed suitable by the local mental health authority. You mean illegitimate authority? If an appropriate inpatient mental health facility is not available, or transfer the apprehended person to emergency medical services personnel of an emergency medical health services provider in accordance with a memorandum of understanding, blah, blah, blah. It says a jail or similar detention may not be deemed suitable except in extreme emergency. What do you mean extreme emergency? It's my life. Why am I going to be jailed for? First of all, the mental health facility is a jail. It's a prison in and of itself, but they're talking about an actual jail. A person detained in a jail or a non-medical facility shall be kept separate from any person who is charged with or convicted of a crime. Okay, whoop-de-doo. You're going to, you're still imprisoning me without my consent. You still arrested me and threw me in a cage. So what that I'm isolated? Oh, is that supposed to be a favor? Thank you, whoop-de-doo. A peace officer who takes a person into custody under subsection A shall immediately inform the person orally in simple, non-technical terms of the reasons for the detention. You mean the bullshit reason that I didn't harm anybody else? I was only going to harm myself? Or I think that you're harming. Okay, I'm not going to say that because I may get in trouble on YouTube. It is what I'm not going to. I can't say what I want to say. And that a staff member of the facility will inform the person of the person's rights within 24 hours after the time the person is admitted to a facility as provided. So they basically just they just kidnap you, threw you into some mental health facility. You can't get out. Now you have to hire an attorney, some pig, some scumbag who's going to charge you $500 an hour. Otherwise, you lose your liberty. How is this not tyranny? You didn't harm anybody else. It's your life. You can do whatever you want with it, right? But no, you don't own your life. That's the reason why they can throw you in a cage. A peace officer who takes a person into custody under subsection A may immediately seize. That's the term under the Fourth Amendment. Unreasonable searches and seizures. They can't have a search or a seizure without probable cause, but they are seizing you without the only probable cause that they have is that you're going to harm yourself, which is not a crime. So why are they arresting you and throwing you in a cage? A peace officer who takes a person in custody under subsection A may immediately seize any firearm found in possession of the person. After seizing a firearm under the subsection, the peace officer shall comply with the requirements of blah 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 an article of the Criminal Code of Procedure. So somebody told me that the government does not force us to exist, that the government doesn't prevent us or force us to live without our consent. Clearly, that is not the case. I just proved it to you. If you don't want to live, they're going to force you to live, but they're going to throw you in a cage. They're going to take away your firearm. They're going to restrict your liberty. They're probably going to put you on medication, right? Just because you talked about it. So you basically don't need to talk about it. You need to keep it to yourself. This is so oppressive. This is so oppressive. This is the worst form of tyranny ever. I mean, good Lord. Okay, there's one other thing I want to. What? Okay, I'm using Restream. I'm used to using StreamYard. Gosh, I don't. This is. I don't want this screen look. Oh gosh, this is a mess. How do you do this? I don't want two screens. I want one. Okay, here we go. Now, so it's a crime to assist someone in committing suicide, and it's a crime for you to do it yourself or for you to attempt to do it. Now, it's like what Ike Turner said and What's Love Got to Do with It? If you die, I'll kill you. So that's how much control the government wants to have over your life. Really, death is the one thing that the government can't control, and they even want control over that. So yeah, you are an abject slave. Now, let's get into what the Constitution says, because they don't seem to care about that, do they? Okay, here are the constitutional amendments. Okay, make sure y'all can see it. Yeah, you can see it. The Fourth Amendment says the right of the people to be secure in their homes, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures. Remember, I told you about the word seizures. When they arrest you, that is a seizure. Shall not be violated, and no warrants issued upon probable cause. Probable cause for what? They're arresting you and throwing you in a cage because you wanted to harm yourself. You didn't harm anybody else. You don't own your life. That's the reason why they can do that. Supported by an offer affirmation and particularly describing a place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized. Now, here's the Fifth Amendment. By the way, the Bill of Rights really only applies to the federal government. The only reason that it applies to the states is because certain amendments have been incorporated through the 14th Amendment. But so originally, the Bill of Rights were intended to apply only to the federal government, and then the states have their own versions of the Bill of Rights. A lot of it is the same thing, but I think the federal version has more teeth on it. The state version of Bill of Rights, they're pretty weak. If you want any legal protection in state court, you really have to argue a constitutional violation, the federal constitution, because if you can't show a violation of a federal constitutional right, then it's considered harmless error, even if they're violating state law. If the state law said they're supposed to make a probable cause determination, okay, well, that's harmless error. They're not going to reverse it. Um, there's so many things in the law that they're supposed to do, but they don't do it. And then if you appeal it, they're not going to do anything. This system, man, is so fucked up. So here's the Fifth Amendment. No person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation. They are taking your life without due process of law by denying you the right to die. They just took your life for a public use. They're saying, oh no, you can't do what you want with your own life. We want you to continue to exist for other people's benefit. We want you to be a slave to the state. We want you to continue being a wage slave for some damn corporation. You don't have the right to die. We're going to put you in some mental health facility, pump you up on drugs. And so what did you I mean, gosh, I don't I want to say so much, but I don't know how much I can actually say. But it's like there was a reason that you wanted to do that in the first place, and now they just made it worse. Now they just lock you up. Now they just they just stigmatize you because now you have some scarlet letter, the S word, right? Now you're crazy. So you have um now that they put you in some mental health facility. um Let me see if I can go back to one screen. Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing it. Okay, I didn't want it that big. Oh gosh, I need to learn how to use StreamYard because I'm going to be using StreamYard a lot more. I mean, Restream than StreamYard because yeah, I like their features better. I just need to learn how to use them. Let me read some of these comments. I wasn't sure that I was going to have much to say, but I just went on this long ass rant. I'm trying to go back to what was the last one that I read. Oh, Godus, that's his name. Yeah, he's talking about slavery. We're all, and it's like you just enslave your own damn children. What the hell is wrong with you? The nature's guy's name is Godus, and he's an absolute imbecile, having two children and thinking he is superior over others who understand the compassionate view of anti-natives. Exactly. To the things that the government tends to do to their slaves in the context of my last two comments for clarity of what I meant, which is why it's such a big deal to them when someone wants to opt out. In most cases, suicidal people don't intend to harm anyone else. They just want to be free from this fucked up world. Well, that's not how they see it. They think that if you don't want to be here, that you are harming yourself. They talk about how selfish you are, how it's going to affect other people. So let's go back to what the Constitution says. It says, no person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation. They took your life for the use of other people. It's not your life anymore. Now you're living for other people's sake. Fine. If you want to make me a slave, you want me to live for other people's benefit, then you should at least compensate me for it. You should have to provide for my basic living expenses. I shouldn't have to work. You took away my right to opt out. So fuck you. Fuck you. And how dare you try to pull some road pirate try to pull me over for some traffic citation when I never consented to any of this bullshit in the first place. I don't choose to go to work. I work because I have to live, and I didn't choose to live in the first place. I almost got put away. Almost got put away in a hospital for a week for being too honest and open with a phone operator once. Right. That's what I'm trying to say. Don't even talk. You know what? I almost think that I'm making a mistake by going live and showing my face. But what I'm about to do is about to go public anyway. So and my name is already all over the internet. That's the reason why I was trying to be somewhat anonymous and discreet, because I've already destroyed my ability to earn a livelihood based on my activism in the past. This is what I'm trying to tell, like these vegans, that vegan who took my likeness and put feces on my forehead. He didn't understand why I was so incensed by that. It's because of my past experience. How dare you hide your face, but you want to take my likeness and de- defame it? Yeah, you don't have disfigure and put you don't have the right to do that. And so people are saying that I'm whining because I voluntarily entered the public domain. No, I'm not whining about the fact that he can disagree with me all he wants. I don't want him taking my likeness and altering it. That's what my issue was. And I don't need to hide my face. I don't need it's not I'm not a coward. YouTube doesn't even this is bullshit, right? Y'all think that somebody is brave just because they sit on YouTube and show their face. That doesn't mean shit. I can show my face. I'm doing it right now. But what really counts is that I show up in real life. I am a real activist. I fight the system. My name is all over the internet because I've done shit. I've sued people. I've run for office. I I've done a whole lot, a whole lot. Um, if I choose to be anonymous on YouTube, that does not negate all the things that I've done in the past. I wonder if humanity has collective Stockholm syndrome. Exactly, they do. They cling to life because they don't know anything else. They're afraid of the alternative. They fear their own annihilation. There's a strong argument about the evidence. I don't I don't know who. Oh, I'm not sure what that is regarding. Accident live stream. Thank you. I Yeah, I'm kind of winging it because I did plan on just talking about the law, but then I just went on this rant about life in general. Okay. You're complaining, sure, but by definition, which means you're reasonably dissatisfied, especially by your circum. How is that all that? Well, the thing is, the government doesn't. There, it's like collective narcissism. They make our lives a living hell, and then they think that you don't have the right to your opinion about it. Like you're supposed to just be okay. You're supposed to just accept their authority. This is what happened when I went in court. Well, it's not just the court; it's police officers too. Even if you comply with them because you're being forced to, that's not enough. They want you to be happy about it. They want you to do it willingly. It's not just resisting arrest; it's resisting. Even if you okay, it's like if you I don't want to get too technical with the legal stuff. Yeah, the judge basically screwed me over and he was trying to get me to go along with it. And then I'm like, no, I'm not going along with this. If you do this, you're doing it by force. I'm getting this on the record that I do not consent to what you're doing. You're not, now it's like you're screwing me over, but you want me to go along with it so that this can be a pleasant experience for you. Um, like yeah, I'm screwing you over, but I'm going to convince you that what I'm doing is right. So you should just I'm not forcing you. Just waive your rights and just, you know, and then when you stand up for yourself and assert your rights, now you're being difficult. Now you're the asshole. And then they want to get aggressive and, oh, well, since you didn't go along with it, now I'm really going to crack. But you were already fucking me over anyway. Now we're making it clear. Now we're getting this shit on the record that you are a fucking bully and now you are forcing me to do something against my will. So, yeah, this whole dog and pony show where you're going to sit up and act like I'm here I'm not here voluntarily. You forced me to be here under threat of physical force. It's no different than holding the gun to my head. So, yeah, we're going to erase all the pretense and we're going to actually, I'm going to force you the same way you're forcing me to be here. I'm going to force you to reveal your true colors that you are a fucking bully, that you are a violent savage who is imposing your will on me against my consent. Yep, I was worried about things. I don't. LVL. What is LVL? I'm not good with acronyms. Let me make sure I show these. They want your. Does anybody want to come up here while I'm talking? I think I posted the link earlier. Anybody want to come up here? I picked up this first time I went to therapy, just trying to fill your mind up with the hope of you so you can get some that makes it okay. Exactly. Exactly. And that's the same thing that my ex mom was trying to do to me. The parental authority is the same as governmental authority. She was talking about how she was going to give me help. She basically wants me to go back to being the happy go lucky gay son who would go shopping with her and talk about celebrity bullshit and um see, this is the whole thing. People always talk about monsters, right? It's like you're an asshole, right? It's like no, everyone wants to throw their pitchforks at the monster. No one wants to take any accountability for the fact that they are the ones who created the monster. I wasn't always like this. I wasn't like this. I before I knew what life was really about, I was a very easygoing person, very trusting, and um, I was a pushover. I would go out of my way to, I would put other people's happiness before my own, and now I refuse to do that shit. Okay, I think I got to the last comment. Um, I don't think anybody's coming up, so I think I'm going to go ahead and end this live stream. But I hope this proved to y'all that the fact that we don't own our own lives means that we are slaves. The principle of self ownership really speaks volumes. The government owns us. And so when people are talking about my body, my choice, it's not your body, it's not your choice. That child that you didn't want is not yours, it's the government's. So everyone who's procreating, all you're doing is creating slaves for the government. Um, you're really fucking your own children over. How dare you? Oh, somebody wants to come up. Okay. Okay. Good. I'm a yeah, I'm a misanthrope too. I don't think I was yeah, I'm a misanthrope. Um, it's not like I hate people. I just basically want to be left alone. I just want to stick to myself. Like I garden, I feed stray cats. But yeah, a lot of people feel they take it as a slight when I don't want to engage with them. It's like I just want to be left alone. If I'm going to be miserable, if I have to deal with this hellscape, then let me be miserable in peace. I'm trying to see. Why can't I bring you up? Okay, one second. No, I don't know how to do this. I'm used to using StreamYard, and this is very different. I'll get it eventually. How do I bring you up? This is crazy. I don't know how to do it. Oh, wait a minute. Sorry, sorry. I thought I didn't know this was going to be a problem. Yeah, I don't. Oh, wait. Let me try one more thing. Oh, is that?
Well, hello? We can hear me.
Yeah. Hi.
Hi. Oh, this is cool to finally be able to talk to you, and especially about such a important subject matter. Especially the country I'm in. I think I've mentioned it before on one of your streams, maybe like a year ago. But yeah, this is the year that MAID and stuff like that, which is like an acronym for medical assisted induced death. I'm pretty sure is what it represents. I might be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure that actually goes through in Canada like this year. I think coming up in March, where like they'll allow citizens to actually have like assisted death. Apparently, they've been doing that since last year for like drug addicts. Apparently, and to be fair, there's so many other fucked up issues going on within this country right now. Like with the government and stuff, housing crisis, all that shit, like migration, just chaos, basically. Food prices, all that. But yeah, I feel like that's one of the reasons why this country is kind of given the green light on assisted medical induced death, basically, just because I think they recognize their citizens are dissatisfied. But of course, there's so many other countries within this world that they have like a hard stance that they're not going to allow anyone to go. Yet everyone would like to believe that they are free somehow, some way, even though it's not the truth. But yeah, sorry if I'm rambling. I know I just got here.
No, Jordan Peterson just did this discussion about that, talking about he had some serious illness, but if he had a red button, he would have already pulled the plug. But then it's always so one sided. It's always, oh, I was depressed and then things got better. It's like, no, for a lot of us, things never get better.
Yeah, yeah. And I feel like that's like thoroughly overlooked. Like I think a lot of people I think in a weird way almost vicariously live through successful people. So even if they're a standard worker and stuff like that, maybe they have a decent living, spot. Maybe it's a nice condo, maybe a decent apartment. Most apartments are shit, but like, or maybe even a home straight up even. But yeah, a lot of people I think have an inflated idea of how well off they actually are and stuff. So for some people, it likes to make them feel like they're okay and stuff like that. But for many people, I think, especially if you just talk to sometimes some random people, especially if they seem like they're upset. I have once, and yeah, a lot of those people, yeah, you would hear a lot of surprising and saddening things. Like at least like as I've mentioned before, at least within my country and stuff, I completely like would understand why they would allow the whole assisted suicide thing to be become a thing now within the system over here. But of course, the larger goal would be to have that be allowed even in a country, especially like the United States, because there's so much bullshit that happens within that country. I'm well aware. Like, I mean, one thing and stuff. Like, I mean, it's still a fear over here as well, but especially within the U.S. and stuff. Like, even just down to getting an injury where you have to go to like that could like break your savings account for some average everyday people. And just considering like just aspects like that of like what it would be like to live in the States, like yeah, like I mean I would always be anxious, honestly, especially with things like that going on. But yes, sir, go ahead.
But our biggest problem is student loan debt. Under the Bush administration,
oh true, yeah,
student loan debt is crazy.
Yeah, and so that was one of my things. I'm like, I'm never going to be able to repay this.
Yeah, especially I'm going through cancer right now. I'm glad I'm not in the States, or else I had to pay like around 40 to 80 grand for the treatment.
Shit.
Yeah, man, it's insane. And another thing to add is also like basically even shrinkflation's a thing, right? Our food quantities are getting smaller, but the price is higher, the same.
Yeah.
That's the reason why a lot of people are fed up with this shit. And yeah, that's why I'm happy for the euthanasia being legal here in Canada.
Agreed. But I think the thing that also irritates me about one of the points that you mentioned there and stuff is just that people, like, if you talk to everyday average people, even within a grocery store and stuff, you talk to them about inflation, it's like a basic, I guess you'd say, quote unquote, NPC talk. And yeah, they'll agree. They'll be like, yeah, it's bullshit. The government has to, do something about all these food prices and inflation and all this other stuff. But still, a lot of this stuff is still not enough to make people want to actually stand up for themselves. And hell, and I usually say this sometimes in other comment sections of videos or whatever else, but straight up, like the thing that annoys me is just that it's like not only are they not willing to stand up for themselves against the government, but not even their goddamn children that they brought here.
Exactly.
Like, how dare you? How dare you? You bring children here, you're being bullied, and you're like, okay, let me bring some more to get bullied by this big thing I don't want to deal with. I want to
Exactly.
ignore and act like everything's okay.
How do parents say they love their kids, but they bring them here when they know life is hard and getting only harder? You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's crazy. It's so contradictory.
Yeah,
Even,
it very much is.
yeah, I was gonna say something, I forgot. What was it? But yeah, anyways, yeah, when you talk about people in inflation, they're always biased. Like, either they say it's the government or it's the corporations that are greedy. But like, to me, it's both of them. I'm not biased here. I'm not leftist or rightist. I think both sides are the same. They're both corrupt in their own ways. So yeah, I think the government is responsible for paying taxes too high, and the elites are responsible for gouging prices and making their products smaller.
But also about the cost of medical services. The reason that medical services are so high is because of occupational licensing requirement and the regulation of drugs. So if there were a free market, that would drive the prices down exponentially. But they don't want competition. They want they drive up the cost by requiring all of their standards. It's like, even when it comes to COVID, it's like they didn't want people disseminating information about homeopathic. It's like, well, you don't have any solutions. The jab that you're trying to give us doesn't even give you immunity. And so if someone says they want to take colloidal silver or whatever, they're telling people you can't say that. You can't say. It's like, because there aren't any studies. But it's like, I took it. Well, it's not colloidal silver that I used. I used pleurisy root. And that, nothing else helped. But I had to do my own research. And based on my anecdotal experience, I can say that that is what cleared up my symptoms. But I'm not allowed to say that. I'm not allowed. I mean, no company or private business owner can say that because it's not FDA approved. So they drive up it's like they create the problem, and then they're going to be the ones to come up with the solution. But all they do is make it work. Just leave us alone. Get out of our lives. Let us do what we want to do.
Yeah. Actually, I've actually been learning a bit of this and stuff. Like, I mean, not to get on too much of the conspiracy level, if you will, because to be honest, from the research I've done, I've understand it to be just genuine truth and stuff like that. That's the reason why you can't really talk about them. So I'm gonna use code. Hopefully, you guys can maybe get what I'm putting down. But the people who are all about that type of cycle of like, okay, we're gonna cause an issue and then we're gonna bring up the resolution to said issue and stuff, and then sell it that way, and then who knows if it will actually resolve the issue or not. It might just be like a band-aid or a piece of duct tape onto the crack of this dam that's gonna like crash down on everyone. But point being and stuff is just, the people that I've come to realize is responsible of that, or responsible of that, is the same people that basically created money, the concept of currency and all that stuff. And I guess the little hint I can give to the group of people is Zios. If you kind of get what I'm, but
you don't need to tell me.
I did
a live stream about it, and I exposed that whole fraud. And somebody reported.
Oh, I think I missed that one.
Somebody reported me and had the live stream taken down. But
no way.
I'm well aware of what about that whole fraud. We don't have money. We have currency. And I know all about that.
Yeah. But yeah, from what I've understood from like my own digging, that group, they like throughout history, they've been famous for that. It's like an issue will arise and stuff like that. Sometimes they may have caused the issue, but they'll act like they didn't have nothing to do with it, and then they'll create the resolution for it, and then they'll make their currency and money that way.
Yeah, so I mean, something needs to be done about it. Like I just, people are so I don't know, they're like these scared little creatures who just want to be controlled. And it's like, because they want to be enslaved, it's like then the rest of us have to be enslaved. But I don't want to be enslaved. I want to opt out. Like, if I could just live, in peace, I would be okay. But I don't want the government controlling my life. So I don't know what else to do about it. I mean, I can't
Mhm.
accept it. This is so depressing. Every time I get pulled over by a police officer, I'm like, leave me the fuck alone. I'm not bothering anybody.
Yeah, the cops
Mhm.
once stopped and frisked me too when I was chilling at a parking lot. You know,
Wait, what? Wait, did they say why they stopped by you or no?
I didn't do anything. Just came by me and flashed his light at me for no reason. My eyes started hurting. I'm like,
Wow.
I'm not doing nothing. Like, what's going on? There's people out there doing carjacking and home invasion attempts now, but they monitor.
Yeah.
That's all they're good at doing. You
Yeah.
know,
And then your reaction to their abuse gives them probable cause. It's like they're shining their light in your face. And then if you respond in a hostile manner, now they have
exactly.
probable cause, and now you're being thrown in a damn cage. But the
Gotta be
initial stop in
cautious.
the first place was unprovoked.
Yeah, especially
Yeah.
since I'm a Middle Eastern man, you know, and Persian descent. I gotta be cautious out there. Because you never know. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'm glad to have you there. And I'm completely on your side. Free Palestine. I know you're not Palestinian, but you're still Arab. So I'm completely.
no, I'm not. I'm
You're,
Persian. That's
you're
different.
Persian.
Yeah,
Okay, Persian. Yeah, I'm sorry. That was ignorant. I know Persians are different from Arabs, but
yeah, we're different. But yeah,
okay. But are you Muslim?
no, I'm not any. I'm not religious, but yeah, I'm just I'll just mind my own business basically.
I
Right? And
respect that.
Okay, but I'm on the side with Persians, Arabs, all of them. I completely. I have so much sympathy for what's going on over in the Middle.
Yeah. Yeah, it's actually quite hellish over there for sure. Like, especially once you understand some of the details of what is actually going on, some of the stuff that they tend to not report on the news. Yeah, it's fucked.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah, you know,
But
like you
oh,
gotta be
sorry, go ahead.
cautious out. But thankfully, the cops know we're okay. They weren't too bad either, but you gotta be cautious out there too.
Yeah. Oh yeah, always. Like I mean, at the end of the day, I've come to realize that the unfortunate reality of this place, even though I feel like we've all probably been burned at some point in our lives from trying to like trust someone and trying to just see the best in them, all that stuff. But yeah, realistically, as time goes on and the more you mature, it's just the only person you can count on and wholeheartedly trust is yourself. That's it. Because
Exactly.
yeah, because everyone else and stuff, especially even in my own experience, unfortunately with family, yeah, sometimes people would just randomly snap. You don't even know why they're angry. You don't know why they want to engage in violence with you, and it's like, what? Like I just came down for like water or something or food. It's like, what the fuck is going on? You know? So just from experiences like that, I just feel, or not feel, but like I've learned that realistically you can only trust yourself because everyone else it can be so erratic and um you know I don't know. I'm trying to think of the word here. But yeah, I think you guys get what I'm saying though.
But even that is not a given. Most people don't trust themselves. They don't trust their own judgment. That's why they
True.
constantly
Yes.
refer to someone else, the government.
Yes.
Or
Yes.
trust that. So that part. You have to have some type of self-esteem, and some type of trust in your own intellect, in your own. You have to have some type of self-value. And yeah, I don't think that most people trust themselves. That's the reason why they're enslaved in the first place.
Hmm. And yeah, they're also obviously conformists and stuff. They just think, oh well, I was born here, and there's always been a government, there's always been police, so I'm not going to argue or try to change or fight to change anything because this is how it's always been, right? And I usually notice this perspective a lot within my fellow males, unfortunately, and stuff like that. And especially since especially within male groups like that and stuff, they always tend to like to brag about things, compare all that shit. So I think for one, especially for well, actually, I guess almost everyone kind of tends to do that, even women as well. Um, but yeah, I think everyone just really enjoys this whole illusion of how life has been run and stuff like that. And they know that the way that life can continue in this way is by just obeying the government and whatever they say, follow their procedures. Something goes bad, another 2020 situation happens and stuff. It's just listen, obey, don't really question much, because I don't really know much. So the government has to know more than me, because they're the ones, giving us the shots and telling us where to go, how to go, how long you're supposed to stay at work, when you're when you're able to go home, when you're able to eat lunch, if you're in school, when you can go use the restroom, you have to ask for that. Like, just it's just funny to me that many people don't try to think more about the details of how all our lives are ran. And also, furthermore, I think the other thing that also irritates me on why many adults, especially parents, tend to not want to fight back is just that, especially if you had to talk to a lot of parents and or even just adults and stuff, even if they're just on their own and have no children. um Almost like a good portion, especially if you had to do a poll, a lot of people don't enjoy working. They don't yet. They still don't want to stand up and try to do something to try to change that situation and stuff. Having to wake up early in the morning when you don't want to, you have to get ready, try to look nice and try to, fake a smile and all this other stuff. It's like all that could end if you decide to just say no. And also if you try to spread the word to your peers and be like, we don't got to do this. You know that, right? Like, we actually don't got to do this. We can stop. We could say, we're done playing the fucking game. If you guys don't want to change, I guess we're gonna have to fight each other. If you guys don't want to adjust and all that stuff to be more, I don't want to use the word inclusive, but just more reasonable, just so there's not all this like chaos and all this other shit just going on and stuff like that. I maybe botched where I was going with what I was talking about there. I lost my train of thought, but I feel like I've said a lot there. So I don't know if any of you guys have anything to say about that.
Well, I was a statist for most of my life. It wasn't until the government destroyed my life that I realized that the government is actually our oppressors. It wasn't, I mean, the whole reason that I went to law school in the first place was so that I could fight the system and help people. But then I saw for myself that the law is not what it's cracked up to be, that they actually use the law as a tool of oppression to enslave. And it's like the law applies to us, but it doesn't apply to them. They do whatever the hell they want to do. They go over the speed limit. They don't have any standards of ethics, and they're not held accountable, and they're completely protected. We get strict liability for, speeding is a strict liability. It's not just strict. It's not just speeding. It's what I was charged with was failure. I don't want to get into the law, but most traffic offenses are strict liability. So we get strict liability, and they get immunity. So you don't even have to improve. You don't even have to prove intent on our part. But even if you if you establish intent for them that they were being malicious, they're still protected with immunity. So we're slaves. That's the whole thing. The government doesn't serve us. We serve the government. That's just how this whole system works.
Yeah, and I think that the one thing the government has done a very evilly, like good job at, and still evilly, I don't even think that's a word, but like an evil good job at, if you will, is just creating the whole idea. Because like I feel like I've noticed this narrative pop up a lot within a lot of people, especially even sometimes within media, especially within my own country. But they try to, format like the perspective of how life is being run now, that like, if certain people who work in certain places and for the city and all that stuff, they just try to frame it as if like, oh, we're just all working for one another, and that's it. It's not like this thing where anyone's getting taken advantage of per se, but we're all just kind of helping each other, when it's like that's not true though, because we're all realistically and stuff, if you're looking and paying attention to the game of commerce, and so we're all competing ultimately. And so that's why people are usually, especially within aggravated situations, that's why they're so quick to flex and be, oh, do you know who I am? Do you know how much money I have? Blah, 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 all that shit. So even even down to that and stuff like that, I feel like that's one aspect of this whole reality that I've never related to be honest.
It's all ego driven, because even within government, there's competition from the government. So like, the CIA is competing with the FBI, and the state is competing with the government. Like, they all want to be the head dog. They all want to be the one running the show. And it's like, and we're the only ones who are getting screwed over. Like,
and we're only getting screwed over because so many are unaware. I think if more people were to be like, ooh, hell, if they were forced to be aware, like if we could somehow project exactly all the things that I know, that JC knows, and all that stuff to other people and stuff like that, I think maybe then it would start to click. But and or it would maybe start to click, and or people would just get very scared and they'd be like, all right, that's even more reason for me to not do anything because I don't even know if I could overcome that, you know.
But it's only
But
getting worse because they're importing all the socialists. That's why
yes.
they're importing all these people from the third world who worship the
Hmm.
government. They're and so
Yeah.
based on the numbers, the people who actually do believe in freedom, and then you put your children in public school and they get indoctrinated. Oh my God, for me to deprogram myself was a very arduous undertaking. I was the most indoctrinated Barbara Streisand worshiping liberal, and it's not even about liberal or conservative, but I thought the solution to everything was government regulations. Like the government's going to fix it.
Hmm.
I thought Hillary Clinton was like the Queen of Sheba. I don't. I was so brainwashed. I don't think my parents taught me anything. I was so damn dumb. Um, and I thought I was smart. I do think that age, well, it should come with wisdom, should come with age, but a lot of people still stay stuck in their ignorance well into their,
50s.
years.
Speaking from my mom's perspective, like
I'm
there's
glad
some
that
things that I've had to tell her and stuff where it's like you should have told me this when I was younger. But yeah, go ahead.
exactly. And they're not even raising their damn children. They're not all their my situation is not unique. I think with most of us, our parents provide us with food, clothing, and shelter. They never really taught us anything about life, how to survive, how to protect ourselves. The socialization was terrible. You're supposed to have an individuation process where you separate from your parents. That never really occurs because they never really they never put you on a path for success. So it's like, I'm your mother. So for the rest of your life, I have authority over you. You're supposed to do what I say. It's like, no, I'm supposed to separate from you. I mean, I'm not a Christian, but even in the Bible, it says you're supposed to leave your parents and cleave to your partner, your spouse. But that's not how it is. It's like it's like, I don't know what the hierarchy is. The hierarchy is the government, the parents, and then you're at the bottom. So unless you have children, you don't have anyone to enslave. I mean, I guess you could enslave people in your place of work or employment. But it's like I don't want to enslave anybody. Like I just want to do my own thing. I don't get anything out of that. It's like I was really set up. I was in a position where I could have gone down that path. Um, I look at these attorneys and I'm just like, man, I could have been in law school with you. Like, you're so fucked up. Like, what? Because I didn't. It probably was going on back then, but I didn't realize it. I thought we were all friends. Like, I was so fucking. They were probably, doing that backstabbing shit back then too. I just didn't see it. And it's like, now they're out in the world. Now they're the judges. Now they're the attorneys, fucking everybody over. I'm just like, man, you are so fucked up. At what point in your life did you become like this?
Yeah, honestly, I feel like that's type of like manipulative like behavior and stuff that it definitely maybe can be taught, but I think is also something that's just it's one of those like unexplained things, like how sometimes there's some like really vile people in reality that just do really evil and fucked up things to others. And then there's some that are just you could just tell just from how they sound, how they appear, that they're just really kind, cool people and stuff like that. It might just be one of those unexplained things where it's just some people just got something else going on inside themselves than others. And I think especially a job like judging, especially within the court of law. I think yeah, it definitely appeals to people with egos for sure. And that's something that I feel like is obvious. There's plenty of evidence of it and stuff of throughout the years of many judge shows and all that stuff, eventually that ego always comes out, even if the person maybe said something back that was even all that offensive, but because they're the judge, oh, we're gonna make your fine worse, or we're gonna make your sentence worse, or like whatever else. And sometimes, yeah, like I've seen plenty of examples. I wish I could think of one and stuff. I feel like there's one in my mind that like I wanted to mention that I can't think of at the moment. But yeah, I guess the main thing that I was trying to I don't know, I guess resonate with you on is just that yeah, I do think the job of being a judge and stuff like that, it's definitely something that caters to egos and just negative type of personalities, if you will.
Yeah, a lot of them are full-blown narcissists. No
Yeah,
empathy.
not surprised.
It's like the law. It's like the law. It's a technical thing. It's like, well, technically the law says it, so I don't have to be ethical. The law says it. I can destroy your life, and so it's legal. I can.
Yeah, well, actually, as you said there and stuff, like the fact that you and of course you would definitely know far more about this than me, but the fact that like even a judge could even look at a certain law depending on the context, that like they'll look at the law and they'll be like, oh, if I were to enact this law and not have any morals or anything or ethics, as you said, about this case and stuff like that, yeah, I could just ruin this person's life if I'm just going strictly by the book. And the fact that I feel like practicing and or just straight up professional judges can acknowledge that there's some laws that are literally built in to fuck citizens over or slaves over, like I feel like that should be a red flag in itself, even to people who are aspiring to be a judge. Through your studying, if you see like a law where it's like, oh yeah, if you get caught up, and depending on the context, of course, I wish I had a proper law I could use as a good example, but yeah, depending on the context and stuff like that, if someone were to get into a bad situation and stuff, and then if you could enact a certain punishment of the law onto them and stuff like that, as you mentioned and stuff, a lot of them will just do it and not even have two thoughts about it, even if they just stripped a man of being able to see his children, even though his ex-wife is clearly in the wrong, or maybe vice versa. Sometimes I'm sure usually those situations are a bit more rare and stuff like that. Usually it's the man losing custody, but
No, it's not rare. They take
oh, it's not.
children away from kids all the time. And even in those extreme cases, people still won't rise up. They still won't do anything to fight the system. I did a video on my other channel about this guy who lost his child based on a false claim. But this is the way the judges look at it. They look at it like they want to clear their docket. They look at it like they don't look at you as a human being. Like you as the party, you don't even matter. Their only awareness is to the attorneys. So it's like, we're the attorneys, you're the client, you go sit in the corner and shut up. We don't care about you. Like they're concerned to some extent about not about the opinions from attorneys, like this attorney doesn't like me, or this law firm is, I'm going, because those law firms donate to their campaigns, right? And so
Yeah.
they don't give a fuck about the client at all. It's about the attorneys and the judges. And they hate dealing with pro se litigants because they think you're stupid. They think that you're a waste of time. You think you're beneath them. Why are you even standing before me? Where's your damn attorney? Go pay $500 an hour to go hire some scumbag pig, because I don't really want to talk to you. Because they think that you're so dumb that when they're explaining their legal ease, you don't understand it. So they even do it to me. They know that I have, and my signature designation, I put on there that I have a JD. They still talk to me like I'm stupid, but then they assume that I'm stupid because they think I don't have any litigation experience. But then when I run which I'm about to run circles around these attorneys right now, they think that they're pulling an okey doke on me. They think that I'm dumb. It's going to be a lot of work, and this is the reason why I'm not doing any content right now. But I just found a whole bunch of case law, and I'm about to run circles around all of them. So I don't need a damn law license. And yeah, because I don't go with the common like the common argument. Like I don't do basic legal shit. I found the most obscure case law that nobody ever used. I make original or novel arguments, and when I say it at first, they're looking at me like I'm stupid. Like, oh, you just don't know what you're talking about. You're just dumb. But then when I back it up and I lay out all of the case law, then it's like, wow, I can't believe he just did that. Like, I'm not stupid. I'm not stupid. I mean, what? So the only difference between me and them is that they passed the damn bar exam, but the bar exam is not about competency in the first place. It's it doesn't measure your skills to practice law. It's so arbitrary. It has no connection to the actual practice. It's really a competency test designed to test your way of thinking. So
Hmm.
because I think a different way, I don't just accept what the court said. Like I read the Constitution and I see what it says, and but no, the way they think is the law is whatever the Supreme Court says it is. They don't read the actual statute and all that stuff. So
Oh,
uh,
that's interesting.
it's rote memorization. You're just programmed like a robot. You don't even have time to think because there's so many questions. You don't have time to think. You're supposed to just robotically answer these questions under time conditions. And how it is, so you get all these multiple choice questions, and then you practice so many that you don't even read the question. You just see the fact pattern, you just answer it, move on to the next one. No thinking whatsoever. And then on the essays, it's like you basically you do a whole bunch of practice essays. So when you see a fact pattern, you have a bullet point way of answering it. No actual thought process going on. It's just like boom, boom, boom. I need to get points for saying this. I'm going to get points for saying that. No original thought process going on whatsoever. If you have any original thoughts, you're not going to get points for it because it's not on their checklist. So it's not testing anything. It's bullshit. It's bullshit. And
Wow.
anyway, yeah, I wasn't really here to talk about all that, but I have a
Well,
lot.
no. Like, I mean, that's still fascinating because I didn't have any idea that even down to how judges work their way up to get into the position of even being a judge and stuff like that. Yeah, quite literally, almost like any other job. It's very robotic. It's very like, oh, if you fit into this like niche of what we hope and want you to be, you'll get it. But if you show anything else that might be a bit more, what's the word I'm looking for here? It's not the exact word I'm looking for. This is the only word I can think of at the moment. But like, if you know the way that you are and stuff, and also how you think and stuff is in confrontation. That's not the word that I wanted to use, but if it is in confrontation with how they run things and how they would hope and want you to be and stuff like that, the fact that that could dictate how they view you, and on top of that, where they even potentially put you. I find that very interesting and stuff like that because I reckon that that's probably how it is for police officers. That's how it is for any other higher up government job that anyone else may attempt to try to study and apply for eventually. If that's what they desired. But
What and that's true.
yeah, I find that fascinating though.
That's even true for federal judges who have lifetime appointments. Though at the state level, they're usually elected. They, have terms, but at the federal level, they have lifetime appointments. But even that is not enough motivation for them to be honest and adherent to the law. Like there's pressure
Hmm.
on federal judges that there was this federal judge who was on YouTube talking about how they were going to they can remove you for cause, even if you have a lifetime appointment, because they wanted her to rule a certain way in this case, and they were going to take away her pension. And so she basically just did it.
Wow.
She recused herself from the case, and she took an early retirement. Um, there's books on this stuff. I mean, it's not. I mean, if you want to know the truth, what's his name? Amanda was talking about how the judges they're just so dumb. They're not dumb. They know exactly what they're doing. They just don't care. Like it's like a damn narcissist. The narcissist isn't dumb. He knows that he's fucking you up. He just doesn't give a fuck.
Hmm. Yeah, which is exactly what makes them evil, because it's like you're well aware of what you're doing to another person, you know? And I think if you're aware of like any type of evil or harm or whatever that you're gonna do to someone, yeah, clearly, yeah, I've definitely dealt with a couple narcissists within my life, but yeah, of course the main two being, I guess you could say, my parents, obviously, right?
So
But
when you're in court and you're trying, like, let's say you're fighting for your life, what they're gonna this they're so ego driven. Like they'll talk about, oh, um, like for example, I had this case where the library. I don't even know if I want to get into the whole story. Basically, they put a block on my account for some fines, and then I couldn't enroll. So um, I basically, because it's a due process violation, they were supposed to notify me within a certain time. They're supposed to give me an opportunity, like some type of hearing or something. This wasn't a probation, an academic probation. This was anyway. Um, and so at that time, I didn't have a job. I was a full time student. That was my livelihood. Like I was, a career student at that time, and they basically released my entire academic record and put that on a record, which they're not allowed to do. And I'm trying to get it sealed, and the judge was just standing for me, like, or sitting at whatever, talking about how she was on some committee to protect the privacy. Like, basically, she was bragging to me about what she did outside of court. So it had nothing to do with me. It was, I'm up here fighting for my livelihood or whatever. And she doesn't give a fuck. She's talking about herself. She's talking about some.
wow.
I'm like, what the fuck? It's like what was that movie with the movie about the judges and the lawyers and the demons? Gosh.
Oh, I feel like I'm familiar with like maybe one of the actors that's in it, but shit. Wait, was it called The Devil's Advocate? I don't know.
Yes,
I don't know if
yes,
that
yes.
would apply.
It was like that. I felt, I'm not even spiritual, but I could feel like some type of evil energy in the, like it was like there's something wrong with these people are just.
Hmm. Yeah, I've noticed that feeling, especially around like narcissists and stuff. Yeah, to be honest, I guess on the somewhat spiritual level and stuff like that. To be honest, I've also, even on my perspective on that, has also kind of shifted. I just think that simply, um, yeah, when you have that intuition or even just that weird feeling, especially when dealing with certain people that you can tell are clearly unreasonable, and then you get that weird thought or feeling within yourself that you're like, they know exactly what they're doing. I think, like, yeah, you're usually spot on that. And even you just, mentioning the fact that, yeah, this woman and stuff, it's like you're trying to make a genuine case to her, talking about like, my livelihood is on the line. Can we resolve this? Can you help me get through this? And she has the nerve to just go, or not even just nerve, but also just like the boldness to be talking about herself in front of you and all that stuff while you guys are in court. It's like, that's unbelievable to me. I don't even know how I would react like that, honestly. I think I would actually get a bit irritated. Usually I try to stay measured, but that would irritate me. I'll be honest. Because, like,
Well, I don't know if you
that's not
watch.
even what we're here for.
I don't know if you watch Judge Judy. I mean, she's not a real judge. She's a mediator, but or arbitrator. Sorry. Um,
Hmm.
so there. I mean, these are minor things, but she's like, oh, I'm hungry. It's my lunchtime, or I have other things.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that. Yeah. Yeah, sometimes it's like if someone keeps going on back and forth with her, she'll, oh, it's my lunchtime. I gotta go. Court adjourn or whatever, and she'll hit the thing and then she'll leave. Yeah, I've seen that.
They don't care, and they even asked her. So somebody interviewed just again, she's not a real judge, but they asked her, do you ever feel guilty about? She's like, oh, I don't think about it. She's humiliated people on national television. I mean, she's been sued numerous times, but they have a whole team of lawyers to protect them. And first of all, she's not even a real judge, and everyone even attorneys think she's a real judge. And I was talking to this attorney. I said she's not a real judge. He's like, well, she's at least a magistrate. I'm like, no, she's not. She's an arbitrator. And I just spoke to Judge. I spoke to Judge Joe Brown. You know, Judge Joe Brown.
Oh yeah, I think I remember seeing that video. That conversation was funny because yeah, he thought you didn't really know much at first. He was like acting like, okay, well, let's see what this guy has to say. And actually, if anything, I'm pretty sure he was the one that started being disrespectful before it, like, you know, you maybe start to raise your tone or whatever. You know, I think I remember seeing that.
But that's how
I
they
think it was on his live stream,
always
right?
think you're stupid. They don't think
Yeah.
that you know anything. It's like, no, I probably, when it comes to occupational licenses and especially the bar exam, I'm almost an expert because I've done so much research on it. There's no way, and I want, you know, I don't want to be disrespectful because I know you're a judge and whatever, but there's no way that you know more about this than I do. Like, he was trying to overtalk me and make me look stupid. And I was reading the comments as this live stream was going on. They all were talking about how I was a whiner. I just want a handout. No, the exam has nothing to do with competency, and there's documentation for this. But the courts are still the difference between the legal profession and other professions. Most professions are licensed through the state legislature. Law licenses are issued by the Supreme Court, which is so different. The Supreme Court creates these damn rules out of thin air, and they don't have the authority to do it. They claim that they have inherent authority. So it's not in the Constitution. There is no enumerated authority for the Supreme Court to regulate the practice of law. So there's no real public oversight. They create these rules, and the rules have the same legal effect as a statute. And it's not just procedural rules, it's substantive rules. They effectively banned me from practicing law through some damn rules. They didn't like a letter that I wrote, and they're I know if I sue them, they would say, "Oh, this has nothing to do with you." But it was contemporaneous. It was like I wrote this letter to them. I think it was in April, and I would say by September they passed these damn rules, which specifically applied to me and was specifically in response to the thing.
Wow.
And I'm like, what the fuck? And if I were to tell people, everyone would think that I was lying. No, I mean, I have the damn rule, the damn order, you know, creating these damn rules. I may do a
Yeah.
live stream about it. I may do a live stream about
Yeah,
it.
maybe. No, that is actually crazy that they would like directly respond to you like that. Be like, "Oh, you had an issue with this, all right, bet," and then they,
It's,
passed what they did. That's crazy.
it's not just the Supreme Court. It's okay. I would actually feel more comfortable talking about this if I wasn't showing my face.
Oh, okay, yeah. We don't got to go much further with that. If anything, we can hop back on topic, and I don't know how much time you got, so I don't want to take too much of your time today.
Well, I'm surprised there's still 8 people here.
Oh, that's what's up.
I don't mind because I'm probably not going to be doing a live stream for a while. I need to, you know, I'm actually doing stuff in real life, trying to fight the system. So I don't just sit and run my mouth on YouTube. So I think that by the time I'm done, I mean, I don't know if people will be able to make the connection, but I'm sure what I'm working on now will be in the media at some point. I'm already all over the media for things I've done in the past, and it's not a good thing. It's like when I go to apply for a job or something, people they think I'm a nobody, right? I wear plain clothes like right now. But when they find out, it's like, oh, you did this and you did that. It's like, yeah, I did all those things.
Like, does it actually like scare some employers like when you've tried to apply for like a job, like especially like if you could see them? I'm assuming maybe like you're going off of like when they would just like read your resume in private, maybe they would be thinking these things. I'm not sure if that's what you meant or if you meant like you guys are like in the same room, they're reading it, and then you could see the look on their face type thing.
No, there's been times where they actually made employment offers, and then all of a sudden I just don't get a call back. And it's like there's no explanation. They just want they're afraid that I'm going to sue them or something.
Wow. Oh, actually, yeah, no, I actually understand that a bit more now. Like, I mean, I don't know the specifics, obviously, but I think even I would assume like your history of trying to become like a judge. I think it was right. Correct me if I'm wrong at any point, um, but yeah, I think maybe because of like your legal history in that like in that sense and stuff, and maybe because that's also on your resume. I think that's another reason why maybe some employers would be a bit wary of you because they recognize that as like if we try to do anything a bit dodgy or saucy behind this guy's back, and if he finds out and stuff, like he'll actually be able to formulate a proper case, unlike any other worker we might have under us. You know what I mean? Because many people obviously goes to that saying, I'm included in this. Many people don't really know laws quite exactly like you would, and especially within your own country as well. So
Yeah, I don't put that on my resume. I take it off because for years I couldn't get any job. They would, tell me I was overqualified. So I don't put it on. But if they Google,
oh, okay,
when they Google
right,
me, that's when they find out.
interesting. Yeah, yeah. If you like, of course, when you're not so busy and stuff, if you want to do that live stream about the whole Supreme Court and you like situation and stuff, yeah, I would be fascinated to hear more about that for sure.
The only thing is they
So
retaliate. They have done so many things to me, and it's like it's not directly. But it so they don't have to say my name for me to know that they're trying to fuck me over. They've done well. No, I'm not going to share that story. They did something else that was specific to me, and
hmm,
not just the Supreme Court, the damn Attorney General, the governor. They all fucked me over, and I listen to these people talk about how these people are so amazing. I'm like, no, I've dealt with them personally. They fucked me over. They're not. I don't know what type of personal like public persona they have. They're not. No, no, you don't know what you're talking about. Just because they want to protect the border and do shit like that. These are not good people. These people are evil. All of them
yeah.
are evil.
Yeah, honestly, yeah, to me, it's actually a bit interesting to hear that anyone would have the perspective that there is anything good about the Supreme Court. You know what I mean? Especially when there's the type of negative stigma just around judges. You know what I mean? I just find that very interesting that there would ever be like a positive, uh, perspective on the Supreme Court at all. You know?
It's more respect for the position that they have so much power. Um, but I don't.
Yeah. Yeah,
The,
that's one thing that annoys me about humans in this reality is that that's what they ultimately respect. They don't give a fuck if you're kind, nothing like that. If you show that you're powerful and you can potentially harm them, they'll respect you. Hell, they'll even love you if you can show that. If you can show that you're capable of harming them and all that stuff, they'll be, oh, okay, no, yeah, just don't do that to me. But yeah, I'll do whatever just to make sure you don't do any of that to me.
that's
And
because they basically
sweet,
want to be. They don't want to fight the system. What they want is to be that judge. They want to be the oppressor. That's
exactly. Yes, yes.
John Jacques Rousseau explained all this stuff. So that's why they're never going to fight for it. They're never going to empathize with the person who's in the same position as them. They empathize with the oppressor. They want to be in their shoes.
Hmm. Yeah, and I think that's also the big problem too, is just that a lot of people have bought into, or the majority have bought into the lie that like when they see celebrities and all this other stuff, instead of it just being some sort of sick luck that some of these people get, they think a lot of people I think maybe do believe that, oh, I can be that one day and stuff. And there's nothing wrong with having that type of belief or confidence in yourself, but sometimes you got to be realistic about some of these things. And for think that they just hold hope, and sometimes be that thing. It's just they hold out that hope that, oh yeah, someday I'll be able to get a bunch of money or a bunch of whatever, or I'll be able to become this thing, or
It's breaking up. Is Borgin, or I can't hear you. Are you still okay? Well, let me respond to this comment. Someone just said there was a YouTuber that made a video saying if no one like America, they should just leave and don't come back. Well, here's the thing. First of all, my ancestors built this country. I have a right to be here. I didn't choose to be here. I don't know. I don't have no connection to people in other countries. I have no ability to attain gainful employment. My education background is mostly in government, so I don't even have the skill set that would be helpful, or you know, in order for me to have this a standard quality of life in another country, I don't have skills to go to another country. So I would be leaving whatever property. Now I have a damn mortgage. So no, I'm not the one who should leave America. The people who should leave are the oppressors. And I'm going to bring you up in a second. I just want to finish answering this question or this comment. What I'm going to be addressing at some point is what my proposal is going to be for reparations, and it's not about getting money so you can go buy some damn Jordans. What we need is sovereignty. We need to have sovereign land, just like the Native Americans. We need to have the option of being able to opt out of this oppressive, fucked up system. And without sovereignty, any type of reparations is bullshit. What we need is some land so that we can have independence and autonomy. And unless we have that, then any other type talks about reparations are bullshit. Okay, now let me bring you up.
Yeah, sorry if I was rambling a bit there.
No, it cut off. I couldn't hear you.
But yeah, no problem. Yeah, I can't even remember what I was talking about and stuff like that, to be honest. But yeah, it doesn't matter. I don't know if there was something else you wanted to say.
No, I'm going to be doing. I'm trying to work out the details of what I think reparations should be, but I feel like nobody is saying what needs to be said. Everyone is talking about bullshit. Everyone's just talking about, oh, we need this. We need money. They're basically saying we need reparations, but they're never telling you what the reparations should be. And I think most people are not comfortable with just doling out money. And they're,
Yeah, definitely not. It would be chaos.
That's not what needs to happen. We need something else. And I think I have an idea of what needs to happen. And unfortunately, I'm not the most interesting. My presentation isn't the best. You know, it's not polished. I'm not really good with editing. And
yeah, it's all good. Yeah, just try your best, man. That's all we can do.
But I actually would be better as a researcher or something for somebody else's channel. I can come up with content. I just don't know. I mean, I'm just not good at presenting it.
I see. I don't like. I mean, I've always wanted to get into video creation, but I just haven't really had the proper drive to really be like, okay, this is exactly what we're gonna do, type of thing. But fuck.
Well, I thought, yeah, this isn't it. I think that if you want to make content, you really should only be doing it to make money. There's nothing impactful about this.
Yeah, because I know, like, yeah, many people don't even want to go to this like point in thinking. You know what I mean? Like, they don't want to think this far. They don't even want to try to like learn at this level and stuff like that. Because, like, as I've said and stuff, I don't even know many things about certain laws and how certain things work within the system and stuff like that, in that sense and stuff, is when it comes to legal things and things among like judges and all that stuff. Like, I think you have a very unique and important perspective that I think most certainly deserves to be shared by anyone who's willing to hear it, but unfortunately many are not willing to hear it and stuff like that. But yeah, all you can do at the end of the day, unfortunately, is just try to provide what you can for those who want to hear it. That's all any of us can do, because I think, unfortunately, whatever the fucking government has done, clearly brainwashing of, you know, a myriad of kind. Yeah, it's whatever they've done to, you know, the majority and stuff. It's been heavily devastating. So I don't think there's any reversing what has been done to the majority's minds to even get them to a point where they're this interested in it. And even if they were to eventually come around, I feel like they will only mentally come around only when the suffering and the real fucked up shit starts to happen within all our societies, the collapse, if you will. I think that's when it will click and, oh, now I want to learn and try to understand why all that shit, but it'll be too late.
Okay, somebody just said be a Moor. I don't even know where the Moors are located. I don't know any Moors. I'm not. I think there's a religious component to being a Moor, but it's not the things that the Moors are saying. They didn't come up with that. That's with the whole sovereign movement. I mean, really, what it's about are people who are anarchists. That's really what it is. The Moors is just a specific group of anarchists, but they're not. I mean, they're not unique. I need a muffling. Okay, yeah. Well, yeah. See, the Americans are not going to go for that. They're not going for those type of reparations. You know, um, they see that as a handout. It's like I had nothing to do with that. If you came up with a real, like what I'm trying to propose is going to be a real solution. But my channel doesn't have that much reach. I'm hoping that maybe a larger content creator will see it and maybe they'll just repeat what I'm saying. But yeah, so he just left. So I think I'm going to end this live stream. Yeah, I was on here a lot longer than I planned. So y'all have a good day. I may be doing it. Yeah, I'm not going to do one. Yeah, I think I'm going to go ahead and end this live stream. But if you have anything else to say. Hello? Hello? All right. I can't hear him, so I'm just going to go ahead and end this live stream.